Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with another Total War Warhammer 2 online battle, and we're back today with the Vampire Coast, going to be taking on the High Elves, so let's get straight to it. We've got Noctilus and another Necrofex, and a huge line of pike and shot zombies, so we've got a mix of zombies with pistols, zombies with pole arms, excuse me, Black Spot are also mixed in here. We've got Lamprey's Revenge and another unit of Prometheans with a couple Fell Bats as well. Relatively straightforward build for my opponent. He's got a couple units of Silverhelms with shields, Flamespire Phoenix, Tyrion, front line of Spearmen, a couple of, let's see here, White Lions, some Archers, some Lothern Sea Guards, so pretty decent build. My opponent did not bring a caster, which is definitely pretty questionable, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. You can see the Necrofex have been opening up shots on the Archers, on the White Lions, and various units here. Archers are a pretty big threat as the Vampire Coast. You can see I'm not really focusing on the Silverhelms too much, because I have other tools that can deal with them. You know, we've got the Black Spot, we've got Lamprey's Revenge, and other Prometheans on the far side. So I'm not really too worried about shooting the Necrofex ammo into the Silverhelms. But yeah, pretty decent so far. You can see we're just kind of firing in all across the board. Flamespire Phoenix does only have 30 armor, so if like these Lamprey's Revenge shotguns or the gunnery mobs can get a good bead, they'll be able to do quite a bit of damage there. Some good damage also going down the Lothern Sea Guard. You can see we've moved up the pikes, so to speak, to intercept the High Elf Spearmen, and Tyrion in the front line also fighting a beautiful cinematic shot here with the Necrofex firing in the background. Man, this game is so beautiful. Such an awesome game. You can see the gunnery mobs firing into the flanks of the Spearmen here. Obviously, the High Elf Archers are going to outrange us pretty significantly. I tried to push up this unit of gunnery mobs to get in range, but White Lion's going to go ahead and intercept there. So we're going to have to use our range to try and counter fire. You can see the Flamespire did try and dive down and get on top of some units here. Not sure exactly, Black Spot maybe. But Tyrion also attempting to come after Count Noctilus, which is exactly what he should be doing. Tyrion is very, very fast with 95 speed, so he's going to be very good against Count Noctilus in terms of chasing him down. Noctilus is also just terrible when he's on his Necrofex at fighting single entity characters, especially if they're infantry or like on a horse, if they're relatively small in terms of size. But looks like a little bit of a swing and a miss there in terms of the Sunfang, which is pretty unfortunate. The other Necrofex pretty much completely healthy here, just able to use up its ammo firing at archers and other various threats. You can see here, over on this side, we're able to intercept these Silverhelms with the Bats, the Lamprey's Revenge, the Halberds getting in here as well. So yeah, these Silverhelms definitely not long for this world. Very good catch. And continuing to fire away all across the board. Unfortunately, the zombie pistols are not doing too well in terms of their leadership, but more polearms thrown down to intercept Tyrion, and you can see we've routed off these Silverhelms here, managed to stabilize the Black Spot, keep them online, and I believe we're going to be firing, not sure exactly at what, but hopefully at something here relatively soon. You can see summon zombies in the back line. This is from Noctilus's long-range summon, which honestly, in my opinion, they probably should nerf the range on that just a little bit. I think it's a little bit ridiculous that you can summon zombies like halfway across the map, but I mean, granted, it is very helpful for the Vampire Coast because their lack of mobility means that you really are going to have a hard time interrupting missile units. You know, from firing, so more zombies being summoned here to interrupt Tyrion. He mostly just chads straight through, though, and goes straight after Nocti Boy. Did Noctilus actually get a hit on him there? I think that might be the first time I've seen Noctilus hit a small infantry or cavalry character like that, but we're going to go ahead and drop the other bombardment. Doesn't do a whole lot to Tyrion because of his armor, but it's going to do a little bit of damage there. Then the Lamprey's Revenge and other units can come in. The Lamprey's Revenge, if they manage to get a full surround, do have the mass to stop Tyrion up, but looks like he is probably going to be able to disengage there. Black Spot still online as well. Unfortunately, a lot of the zombies' pike and shot has crumbled away in the center. That being said, since we won this flank engagement, the Bats very cost-effectively chasing off those Silverhelms. These crabs are able to get in here and start to get some work done. Pistols pulling up on the flank here and shooting into the side of these units going to be very cost-effective. Yeah, decently cost-effective at least. And yeah, we've got both the Necrofex moving around. They can move while firing, so if you kind of walk them past formations like this, potentially, depending on their arc of fire, they can even fire into the formation. You can see the Flamespire Phoenix, though, did get its healing proc and came back from routing. So it's kind of, you know, trying to take down this Death Star position as well. Black Spot still holding out somehow with 50 models. Have taken quite a bit of losses and haven't done a whole lot of damage, but have been a nice distraction tool at the very least. You can see the necropheses. But yeah, let's go with that. Necropheses. You can see them just kind of pulling around here, taking shots at whatever they can. But Tyrion still just an absolute menace here, going after Noctilus. Definitely a huge threat, so I'm going to try and stay close to these high mass units. You can see force pathing through with the Lamprey's Revenge to go ahead and block Tyrion. And this thick boy crab right here does manage to actually block him up there. So yeah, so far so good. You can see the poop deck summon there, dropping from the Necrofex, and Noctilus still able to fire away. This Necrofex has taken quite a bit of damage, but Noctilus been able to recover most of the damage that he has taken. And at this point, Tyrion and the Flamespire Phoenix both in a pretty rough position. A Black Spot getting close to the healing cap. I have been dumping invocations into them just to try and keep them online. But yeah, all this anti-armor, anti-large is going to be very effective here. This Sunfang probably will be pretty decent. Maybe could have been slightly better placed to get better coverage, but still cuts right through that formation, does a ton of damage there. So yeah, all of a sudden that deckhand is going to start crumbling. No surprises. That being said, though, balance power still pretty well in the coast's favor at this point. We are still trying to drag down some spearmen out on the far side here. At the very least, we're distracting some archers and so on. The other unit of crabs has made its journey all the way from the far side to the near side here. They're going to be supporting this center engagement where things are not necessarily looking great. Black Spot are still holding out. The deckhand mobs are still alive. Lamprey's Revenge have taken quite a bit of damage, though. And this Necrofex is near to crumbling as well. We have managed to pull it back into a position where it's safe out of the enemy arc of fire. And, yeah, able to fire in a little bit there. Meanwhile, I'm now using Count Noctilus a little bit more aggressively in melee against my enemy's infantry here. Just to try and keep that terror route up and keep a lot of these high elf forces from being able to regroup and get a good surround on this position. You can see we did manage to shatter the Flamespire Phoenix there, and Tyrion also going to be getting pretty low at this point. He still hasn't got his proc, though, of the Heart of Avalorn, so still potentially could get a big burst of healing, bringing him back in the game, but at this point it's going to be tough regardless for the high elves here, just because the balance power is so far in my favor. And yeah, you can see the rotting Prometheans lumbering forward ever so menacingly. We'll be getting into these Lothern Sea Guard here. And yeah, I mean, those shields and spears will help a bit, guys, but they're only going to go so far. Absolutely brutal stuff as the claws come out, the pincers come out, and it's going to be kebab time for those Lothern Sea Guard. Now, all of them pretty much get routed off right away, and with that, the High Elves are going to hit critical army losses, and that'll be game. So, well played to my opponent. I hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. Yeah, I definitely would recommend pretty much always bringing a caster. Outside of that, I think this High Elf build is honestly pretty solid. Counter firing with archers and so on, definitely the way to go, nice and wide here, but personally I would cut the Silver Helms. That would allow you the funds to get a caster, and then maybe just go a bit wider with even more archers, Lothern Sea Guard, and Spearmen, or maybe you grab a couple of bolt throwers as well. But in general, for my army for the coast, both the Necrofex is racking up a ton of kills, just doing some heavy lifting against the High Elves there. Really good in this matchup if you can keep them out of line of fire. Likewise, both units of Rotting Prometheans, the regular ones, and the Lamprey's Revenge doing quite well. The Black Spot ended up being a good distraction piece. They didn't get a whole lot of work done, but at the very least they were able to hold out for a long time and kind of help support in that hilltop engagement there. For my opponent, you can see kill totals are pretty impressive, as they often are against the Vampire Coast. I lost out pretty much all my zombies here, but yeah. Taking out those Silver Helms early on was very advantageous. The Flamespire Phoenix being a little over-aggressive as well. Probably wanted to use up some of those Flaming Phoenix species first before diving into combat there. Try saying that 5 times fast. But anyway, yeah. Lothern Sea Guard doing pretty well. Archers doing pretty well also. Like I said, in terms of this build, it's almost what I would call meta against the Vampire Coast. I would just change a handful of things here. Like I said, drop the silver helms. You really, just cavalry in general is really hard to make work against the Vampire Coast. You definitely want to have some kind of mobility, but in terms of Tyrion's abilities here, I would definitely kit him out full on. Stand your ground, maybe not. It's not necessarily super essential as the High Elves in my opinion, but in terms of casters, Lore of Life is going to be your go-to in most situations. You could also mess around with like Lore of Shadows. Lore of High Magic would also be pretty decent potentially as well. If you're worried about deck droppers, you can bring High Magic, and you still have access to some healing with Apotheosis. Hand of Glory can help counterfire a little bit. I wouldn't recommend Fiery Convocation because even as the Vampire Coast, one of the slowest factions in the game, it's still going to be super easy to dodge. Arcane Unforging might be decent. Tempest, if you're worried about deck droppers, again, that'll pretty much clear him out instantly. Soul Quench can be decent if you get it on a side shot, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it in this matchup. Hand of Glory, yeah, maybe bring Hand of Glory as well, just to give some extra melee attack and so on. Then the Spearmen, what did he have? Like 4 units of Spearmen, some White Lions, Archers, and Lothern Sea Guard. And then maybe we grab a couple Bolt Throwers as well, just to really kind of accentuate the counterfire. Honestly, I would probably cut the shields from these guys, just because that'll give us a little bit more funds, allow us to maybe grab like one more Archer, something like that, I think would be a little bit better. Obviously, we are lacking the different mobile elements, but if you really felt necessary, you could maybe bring, like, at the very least, like a Grey Eagle or something to go interrupt. But honestly, the Phoenix, probably arguably a better pick, but you'd have to fine-tune some other details here to try and be able to squeeze that in. But certainly, I think it could potentially be worth it. What is it? Another 550 points? So yeah, that's like a whole less unit of Spearmen or something. I don't know that I'd really be comfortable cutting that, but in general, going wide against the Vampire Coast is the way to go. Bring as many shields as possible, so like you could even cut one of these guys down, I guess, and that would give us a little bit of funds. And then, per tournament rules, you could actually cut one of these Lothern Sea Guard down and take 5 Archers. That would not quite give us enough for what we need there, so you may want to come in and cut something else. Like, honestly, you probably don't need Foe Seeker there, so that would give us the funds we need to then upgrade to the Phoenix. So again, as the High Elves, this is the process you got to go through to kind of fine-tune your cost and really bring the build that you want to bring. But something like this I think might be pretty solid, if a little bit boring. It does have 5 Spearmen, 5 Archers, not the most interesting army in the world, but nonetheless, I would say it's probably going to be pretty effective. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, though. Generally, I think this matchup can be tough for the High Elves, but it definitely can be pretty decent as well. They have the counter shooting to really stand toe-to-toe in a lot of situations with the Vampire Coast. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.